Um, so let's.
Hello, everybody. We are starting. I believe this is our third conversation about love, unity, and divine oneness. Me and my friend Nefrit here decided a couple of months ago, or 3 months ago, that we are going to start having these conversations. We both come from a very different background. We both have come to the realization that unconditional love is the way to heal this world. So, in these short conversations, we talk about the struggles we go through as a human and how we all are one, even though we look different. And there is a thread that connects us all, and that is the divine oneness that already exists within us. And through these conversations, we are bringing awareness to it, light to it, and maybe it will strike a chord within you, and you'll be able to activate that oneness within you as well.
Perfect. So, hi everybody. Thanks for joining us, whoever is watching us. So today is our third conversation,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So I think today, as Alia and I, we had a few minutes to chat. We both realized that we're kind of struggling, each in our own way today. And I was like, oh my gosh, how do I talk about love today? I'm really kind of in the trenches today, and I think this is what we never prepare ahead of time for our talks. It's always kind of whatever comes up. So I'm like, hey, Alia, you know what? Why won't we just talk about it today? We're both struggling, both human. We're not above anybody else. We're all here in this earthly experience together, and just because we're struggling doesn't mean that we're not still on our path of discovering and learning. And so long as we're here on this earth, our story's still been written, and we're always learning. So
And just you saying that, this is what comes to me. What is your definition of love? So while you think that, I'll go with mine. To me, love is alignment, and that is the alignment with my soul, and love is truth. So if I can remember I am the soul and not the body, and I can stay aligned with that soul, I consider myself, I'm still vibrating at the frequency of love. So I can see you with those eyes. I can see you as a soul going through your own process. And, you know, that is when we can hold a space of love for someone else. And for everyone who's watching us, we both are going through something personal today. So we were talking about that in our relationships, when we love someone so much, we love our kids, we love our spouses, we love our family so much, it's very easy to um, think love is something other than what I just talked about. Love comes from our soul. It's that higher vibration, and we go to that lower vibration where we want to worry, we want to be afraid, we want to judge, we want to complain, and most importantly, we want to save. And if we take that same concept at a global level, what I have seen, everyone kind of like, when something happened, everyone kind of like connects with their own kind, and they want to defend their own kind. And it is coming from fear, it's coming from worry, because if this person is getting attacked, maybe I'll get attacked in the future too. But can we challenge ourselves to expand beyond that? Can we challenge our senses to go beyond that, where I can see the whole humanity as me, as one? We can see all the animals, all forms of life. We can see plants as part of us. So when trees are getting chopped, I am concerned about that too, and I am making sure I'm also contributing to, like, maybe more forest being grown. Can we take our level of love to that depth where it can expand beyond what seems familiar? So I had no idea that's where conversation was going to go, but it went there.
yeah,
So
it's
Nefri, what is your definition of love?
well, I think for one, when you're talking about like the different vibrational frequencies, and I kind of came to a realization on my own that really we're sort of like on this earthly experience, we're kind of we have this dualism. We come here as this, part of a consciousness that God, divine, the universe, really love consciousness. We're part of it. And we're sort of, the body is our vehicle here on this earthly experience. And we have our brain that, is kind of like the software. We process the world through our own individual human software. And I think understanding that this synergy between all of them is what it's all about. But to give the space to be this human us, it's being humble to what we are doing here. Like our human side. Yes, we're soul. We're kind of part of the divine, but we're also human. So giving it birth, like a space, is being respectful to the process that we're going through here, and being with these emotions. And today, I didn't want to show up with like putting a face on. I'm like, I've got it all down, and I've recovered, and I'm all in this like the love frequency all the time. So it's not about all that. We're all human. We're all here on this earth human, and our struggles are valid, and none of us is above another person. And just like you said, so my definition of love, gosh, it's such a broad question. To me, it's a place of when I kind of connect to love, it's actually a void. But it's not a void as an emptiness, like there's nothing there. It's a void that is so full beyond beyond our human understanding. It is so full, it's unlimited, it's infinite, it's timeless. And it is a void filled with acceptance and serenity. And when I connect to that, and this kind of an unlimited, unconditional love, it's kind of, I rest in that place. I kind of connect to that place and I rest in it. And in that place, there's no questions, because it is this one answer. There's no violence and there's no hate in it. And it gives me a place to kind of, to just kind of pause for a minute and refill my soul. So, and as you said about how we, about wanting to save others, if it's like on a global level or just in our own space, in our own individual lives, I had something similar not long ago, a conversation with a friend who, out of, and like you said, of fear and concern to her daughter, she was just really feeling very, very down and very discouraged, and out of love and concern. But I was thinking, and I was talking to her about it, and I said, it's again going back to acceptance. When you accept that we're all here human on a human journey, you also accept that our children and the people that we love also have their journey. And it's not our job, it's not our purpose to save them, but it is our role to walk along with them on this journey. Our strifes and our challenges, we're meant to have them, because through these challenges, this is how we grow, this is how we expand, and we're not supposed to take away these strifes and challenges from one another. But we are here to say, hey, I'm with you. I'm providing a source of light along with you. And it's okay for people to struggle. How can I be that source of love? Because they need to go through their journey. I think globally is humans and individuals. So, we're not here to take the challenges from our children, but to be humble to their process, and and I think there is actually a lot of love when you accept that, other people's struggles, and not try to take that from them, but accept it and say, it's okay that they're struggling. and I'm next to them. That's actually really an act of love, that acceptance, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's why I love talking about love, because one of the misconception about love is if I love someone, I'm supposed to worry about them. I'm supposed to be afraid for them. I'm supposed to rescue them. That's not love. Love is, as you were explaining, it's that place of compassion and acceptance. And for me, love is that place where I can see that the soul is already complete. And as you were explaining, the human part is going to go through the process. And I don't want to micromanage that. I don't want to come in and try to meddle with whatever is going on. I can stand there and witness the unfolding of it without putting the responsibility on the other person or the situation to make me feel better. So, for example, when my son is struggling, I feel uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to watch him struggle. So, because I want to get over my discomfort, what I do, I try to micromanage it. I try to tell him, why don't you think this way? Why don't you think that way? That is not love. That is fear and lack and action. Love is when I can just be there and I can witness him go through his own process and maybe guide him along the way and hold that space. And and that is how the change starts, when we start to connect with that unconditional love that is actually frequency of love, and not just the love, I'm so worried about you, and I need you to be happy so I can be happy. That's not love, but we think that is. um, when we all can collectively, or more of us can start connecting with that depth of love, where we can witness each other in our own completeness, in our own beauty, and not wanting us to be different than who we are. So that is when the differences become like they kind of disappear. And someone being different than me is not, threatening to me. That is when I can see someone beyond the human self, and I can see, like, okay, he's a complete soul. He's perfect. He's just going through a process like I did, and all of us are going all the time. And I can just be there and not try to say it needs to be this way. Because a lot of pain, I think, collectively comes from it should have been this way and why it's not that way. And to me, that's micromanaging.
Yeah.
And we are micromanaging ourselves too within us, like putting a lot of shoulds on ourselves. And when that kind of consciousness comes home, when it starts to take space within us and also in our actual homes, that can create a ripple effect globally.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you can take it to all this, level of acceptance, starting with ourselves. So again, I'm really struggling today, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to put on masks and pretend like I've got it all down. I'm just like with love, vibrating with love. I am, but I'm also not at times, and that's okay. And be true to that within ourselves, and know how to hold space for all of our emotions, which are as equally as important. Not, love is not like this. Yeah, absolutely, we are. Our essence wishes to lead with love and follow. But I think in order for us to discover how to lead with love, all the other emotions are as important, and it's part of our human mind and our experience here. So it starts with I'm recognizing my emotions and I'm okay and giving them space and holding space for them. And then it's, I think, as you said, not to micromanage, and it's not to micromanage our emotions as well, because, trying to kind of control our emotions, this is just running away from them, and it's just not going to work out. But it's acceptance, a lot of acceptance, equanimity, bearing the difficulty with a calm mind. And And it goes to the global, and then realizing that is not, yeah, there's a lot of struggle. Like, I before I go to the global, you reminded me of an instance that while I was in treatment away from my family and my kids, they came to visit me in Ohio. No, actually, it was in Missouri, in St. Louis, and my son had a very hard time when they had to leave, and he was crying, and that made me feel like the worst person in the world. How can I, as his mom, leave him for such a long time? I was away for 10 months, and he was having such a hard time. And I felt like I'm the worst mom in the world, the worst human in the world. How could I do this to my own kids? And it was clear that I had to go. It wasn't something I was just, having fun, and I was really struggling, and I was fighting for my life. But the guilt that I had was very hard to deal with. And then I realized, however difficult it was, I was doing the right thing. And although we are connected, I'm connected to my kids, and my kids are connected to me, and I'm connected. When we're all globally connected, we still have our individual journeys to go through, and that was his journey, and it was his things to go through, because we all have lessons. This is how we grow. And just to accept that I was his part of his journey, and he was my, part of my journey, and he's learning through these very difficult, painful lessons, but I can't take them away from him. These lessons, it's not my job to take the lessons away from him, but it's my job to walk along with him and say, I am here for you, and I love you, and I know this is very difficult for both of us, but you have the strength to do it, and I have the strength to do it. And globally, micromanaging, I think there's so many moving parts, and the way to help the global challenge is to be. It's and it's a theme that comes in our talks, is to be. I think, to me, the only thing that I understand, that I know how to influence, is to be love in every way, in every shape, in every form, for other people, to walk along, their journeys, for myself. And that's really, instead of micromanaging, I'm. It's not supposed to be this way. It's not. Things will work themselves out. There has to be, there's another component of the outside source, the divine. There's a lot of moving parts, but the one thing you can do is to follow the lead of love in your everyday, for one another. So
Yeah. One thing, as you were talking about love and other emotions, what I realized in my own journey, I can be in love or vibrate at the frequency of love and be sad at the same time, be in grief at the same time.
Exactly.
Not necessarily be in anger, because when I am in anger, that is when I am saying, what is wrong here, or fear. We can, because a big component of love is to be able to feel compassion.
Mm-hmm.
So being in love with you means I can feel what you're going through. I don't necessarily have to make it mine, like, with your son. You don't have to make it yours, but you can feel and, kind of walk along. And I think that is where we lose a lot of our power, when we misunderstand what love is, whether it's at home, whether it's, globally, whether it's for the whole humanity. We kind of lose ourselves in, like, let me absorb everybody else's emotions, and then we are paralyzed, and then we can't even bring our light or hold space for the other person. And I have personally been there, where, tell me something and I'll be completely drowning with you, instead of, like, being able to stay grounded and feel you and hold space for you. And I feel like that is something we all are being called to nurture within ourselves, first for ourselves, so we are not fighting against ourselves, so we can truly bring our light to the world by ending the fight within ourselves. And then, for our families, for the kids, beautiful kids that we are raising, who are going to be leading tomorrow's world. Nobody's staying here forever. And then, collectively in the communities and globally, we can create that ripple effect. But again, it goes back to us, us being that unit, and seeing the perfection that already exists at the soul level, the perfection that exists in each other at the soul level.
Sure.
And being okay with whatever each person is going through. Another point I wanted to share, I know we talked about it, is we don't realize that no matter how different we look from each other, or how different whatever our mind or our senses are saying, we all are human. We all are going through the exact same human struggles, no matter where we live in the world. If we have kids, parenting struggles are exactly same, no matter where we are. If I'm a woman, women have very unique struggles within them, like, about our image, about our confidence, about this, about that, all over the world. And I, like, this weekend, as we were sharing before we got on the call, is this weekend was a bigger wake up call for me that, when we look at someone, that person might look very strong. That person might look like, they got it all together. But deep down, if I pause, if I create space for them, if I get to know them, and if I get to the level that the other person feels they can share themselves with me, we will see that everyone is carrying something. Something so big, so deep, that most of the time when we hear another person's story, when we do have the privilege that someone can share their heart with us, we realize, maybe my struggle is a little bit less than their struggle. And that is the thread of humanity that binds us. And what I wanted to invite anyone who has, watched us up until now, if you have made it this far, thank you so much. Find a person who's very different than you. It could be a friend, it could be somebody in your network, and you're like, I don't think so we get along, so I'm going to keep my distance. We'll just say hi from the distance. Spend some time with them, get to know with them, get to know about them, like what is underneath that, what's going on. And that would be an experiment. I'm going to invite myself to do more of that too, because it really expands our heart in a way, it expands our perception in a way that deep down we all are human, going through a process. We're not different. We're very, very similar. Our senses tell us we are very different, but we are not. And that is something I wanted to share with, whoever is watching. Challenge yourself.
Yeah, Alia, it's fun. You're saying all these things, and like my brain's like, it's like, oh yes, 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 yes. And there's all these things that I want to say, and like, I love our conversations because we're just so, we kind of really vibrate on the same plane, you and I love, like all these ideas are coming to me, and so I just I had to write it down. And I was thinking as you were talking about. I was thinking, for one, about being carried away with our emotions. And so I think that there has been, for me, a really important lesson for the last, I think our life, one continual lesson, but like especially the last 5 years since I started my journey, that I can accept my feelings, and I can observe my internal, and then I can try to pinpoint and understand what it is that I'm actually feeling, and accept those feelings. But then I can also pause. I can let myself feel whatever it is that I'm feeling. But I can choose, and it's really important to when we are being, it goes back to being there for our children and for our for the world, for our communities, for our families, to try to. It's really important to try to stay with your feet on the shore rather than being carried away with this flood, of feelings, of emotions. So whether if we're talking globally, there's a lot of feelings that are coming up with the challenges of the world are hate and hatred and violence and anger and cruelty and I think our human tendency, it's very easy to give in. It's kind of really inviting to give in to these emotions, to this kind of a lower frequency, to give in to anger and act upon it. And I have the tendency to, if I'm being wronged, if I'm being provoked, somebody's cutting me off in line, I don't know, something like that, you want to kind of give in to anger, like, oh man, that blah 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 blah. It's just like, I wish she was. But these days, it's easy to give in to it. It's harder to stay on the shore. It's easier to let yourself flood with that anger. Go with it, let go, just go with it. But I found that when I'm like, hang on a second, is that what I really want to feel towards this person? I don't know what they're going through, like you said. Being humble and non-judgmental, I want to be love. I want to give out love and not anger. I choose. So, not all the time, but when I can, to pause, say, hang on a second. I don't want to be an angry person. So I'm choosing to send love from within, for myself, into this person. That doesn't mean that I love them, like, oh, I love you for cutting me off in line. But I am what I want to exude into the outside, to the outworldly, is that kind of compassion and love. That's what I want to be. No matter what they did, I want to be loved because it makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. So interject that moment of pause, and rather than letting yourself being carried away in that stream of emotions, what are you feeling right now? Is that what you want to act upon? It's okay to think it. How do you want to act? And then the other thing that you said, you're talking about, well, it really resonated with me and how we all put up a front, for me being autistic and not knowing, I wasn't diagnosed up until about 2 years ago. At this point, I always worked with masks. I mimicked, I learned what it is the right way to be. And I showed up with masks my entire life. And that's what got me through. It's a survival thing. So reminding the world, just like you said, connecting back to your last point, we all are going through something. Let's refrain from judging one another. And rather than judging, more, to be more in the mindset of, we are all struggling with something. Whether it's a human thing, you're talking about women, I'm like, oh my gosh, perimenopause. Who's struggling with it? If it's like the physical part, the emotional, other autistics, or whatever it is that you are going through, other people are going through, and you don't know if it's a different, in the other side of the world, people may look different, but we're all struggling with something. So how can we show up for one another through a non-judgmental lens? And I think your suggestion was perfect. Find somebody who is different than you. Practice, more open-mindedness. Try to know them. Try to connect with them through a lens of compassion and knowing that we are all really struggling together on this planet.
Yeah, that is such a beautiful conversation. I mean, as you were talking, I felt like something opened up within me. So thank you so much for that. And I trust something opened up within you too through this conversation, or whoever is watching. So that is a wrap for our conversation today. We'll continue our monthly conversations. And I believe there's also the talks of me and Nefrit doing something else together. We'll keep you all posted. If this is a conversation that inspired you, please share it, because maybe someone else needs to hear that there is another way of existing on this planet that could be more in harmony and in alignment with our true self.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Alia, for being here and having these conversations with me. Thanks for
Thank you
everybody
so
for
much.
watching.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.